Peace. Welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about the state of Mississippi, how they're proposing to close some public institutions, including 3 HBCUs. We'll talk about the latest that's happening down there. Also, a Chinese family who was considered homeless years ago has finally paid it forward to a black family to open their doors to them by giving a major donation to the black community. We'll talk about the significance of their generosity. Later on, we got a conversation about making marriages work as we talk to Leon and Karita Montgomery about their trials and triumphs of their union. We'll talk a little bit about that. And later, should TikTok be banned? Now, we've heard about all like Risa Tisa and all of these folks, but now there's a new bill that's being considered by Congress to ban the social media outlet as a concern that data will be used for the Chinese government. So it has some Americans and some folks saying that this is impending on their freedom of speech. What do you think? We'll have that conversation up next. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, it is Friday, so happy Friday. Can we give a little horn sound for today being Friday? Because I'm telling you, I need it to be. There it is. Woo! Man, if you like feeling like me, you're just so happy that we are at this point. You gotta love the team. You gotta love the team. Folks, it is Friday, and I am so excited, and I thank each and every one of you for tuning in. We are streaming on a number of different platforms. First, let's start off with our home platform of Black Star Network. You can go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on all social media platforms at Black Star Network. And we ask that you give a little something, a little donation to help us power our way through this digital space. We're looking for folks to be investors and stakeholders and to help us in this process of building this Black media organization to a place where it is the essential and premier online space for news and information affecting Black folks in this country. So we want to get your support, and you can do so right now at blackstarnetwork.com. Also, we're streaming on Amazon platforms, on your Amazon News, on Amazon News on your Fire TV. We're also on Amazon Prime Video, so make sure you take a look at that on the Amazon Prime Video app. You can just find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, the news, or find us on Amazon.com. We're also on the Freevee network, so you can find us on now under news there on Freevee at Black Star Network. And we're also on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us in the Live TV, the news and opinion on Plex TV. And we appreciate you for checking us out there. We're also, folks, are streaming on Big Brother Roland Martin's social media spaces. So you can go to his Facebook page where we're streaming on right now, as well as the YouTube channel where folks we're streaming on right now as well. Big shout out to the online culture crew that's checking us out on X platform, on the Facebook page, and of course on our YouTube page, on Big Brother Roland Martin's YouTube page. Let me see who's in the chat right now. And then hopefully we can get this thing started. I see folks are checking in from around the country. You could do the same thing, folks. If you've never had an experience like this, where you are a part of the conversation. So that means that as I'm talking to Kimberly and I'm talking to our guest today, I'm also talking to you, and I want you to join us in the discussion, post your questions, share your thoughts, and just have some discussions right there in the chat with our online culture crew. We got Brian Christian today. I see you, Brian. Thank you for checking in as always, big brother. Cindy D, I see you. Deidre Hall, I see you. The ABX girl, I see you. Tiana, I see you. Pauline Hurd, I see you. Laurie Parks, I see you. Pretty Brown Mimi 726. Pretty Brown Mimi, where you been? Where you been? Baby, where you been? Don't be hiding from us. David Blissett, my brother, thank you for checking this out. Real Brooklyn, what's good with you, big brother? Thank you for checking in as always. McCole Spicer, I see you. What else we have? We got Benny Etheridge in the building. I like it. I like it. Folks, join us in the conversation right now. Join us right now and be a part of the discussion. All right, let me go to my sister. Who we got here? My sister, Kimberly Morrow. Y'all know Kimberly. She's always bringing something. I'm really, really happy that she's been able to join us today. As always, she checks us out. She checks in with us every Friday here on The Culture. She is an educator. She is an administrator. She's the principal of an online school that does fantastic work and helping Black students and all students getting to reaching their educational goals. And she's just she's been doing a fantastic job here. And I think it will be awesome to just to recognize all the great work that she's doing. So Kimberly, welcome back to The Culture. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Happy Friday. And
Happy Friday.
Before we get started, can I just say Happy International Women's Day? So, in honor of International Women's Day, I am representing the fantastic, the honorable Shirley Chisholm. So,
come on.
You see,
that's beautiful. I see.
So check this out. Now, look, this is a photo that you see that young lady right there holding that little baby. That's me in 1993 with my daughter. And that is Miss Shirley Chisholm. I'm trying to point to the right side. It's so weird. That's Miss Shirley Chisholm. She was a speaker at my college, Morris Brown College, and I had the privilege of meeting her. So this is a photo that I had taken with us, and I actually made it all artsy and put it on this sweatshirt. Yeah.
That is awesome. Big shout out to you. Come on, Kimberly. Yeah. And man, let me just tell you, you always doing it. Look, Kimberly is a parenting. No, seriously, you're doing it real big. Kimberly is a parenting and education expert. She is the principal of the Doris L. Morrow Academy. That is an online academy, folks. And, you know, every week she's always wearing these wonderful shirts to talk about what's going on in the culture. And I think by far that was the dopest one. Now, it's so funny you bring her up. Let me tell you why it's funny. I'm driving last night and I see, and I cannot wait until this film comes out. Regina King is playing Shirley Chisholm. It's going to be airing on Netflix on March 22nd.
Cannot wait.
I finally saw. I never seen. I heard about it, but then I saw the billboard for it, and at first I had to do a double take. I'm like, Shirley, like. Then I'm like, oh, what are you doing? A documentary? That's Regina King as Shirley Chisholm. Y'all know I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Let me just say, I know we're supposed to be talking about HBCUs, but let me just say, I have followed her career probably ever since I met her. And it's real interesting. So for many years, when I would talk about her to my students, they had no idea who she was. And then when Kamala Harris was elected vice president, and when she said she stood on the shoulders of Shirley Chisholm, I was like, vindication. Like all of my students are probably like, I know who she is.
That's awesome.
So, yes.
That's awesome.
I love her journey. And you know, my favorite saying of hers, it's actually on the back of the shirt. I'm afraid to turn around because I don't know how this camera will work. It actually says unbought and unbossed.
Come on. Come on.
It's on the back of the shirt.
There you go. It's unbought. There we go. I see it. Unbossed and unbought. I see it. The great Shirley Chisholm. The great Shirley Chisholm. I cannot wait to see her story play out. I know Regina King has treated that project with so much love and care. I can't wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it. All right, let's talk a little bit about education. HBCUs. What's happening in the state of Mississippi, Kimberly, because I came across this information. And it's interesting. It was so buried in so many other discussions and so many other topics that I was like, wait a minute, what is happening? So, and apparently, folks, take a look at this. This is coming from Essence, but there are a couple of other places that are starting to talk about this. According to the proposed specifics, Alcorn State University, Jackson State University, and Mississippi Valley State University among the schools that could be shuttered as part of Mississippi Senate Bill 2726, which aims to shut down 3 of the state's 8 public colleges and universities. Now, Republican State Senator John Polk, who represents Mississippi 44th District, drafted a 7-page proposal, but Mississippi Institutions of Higher Education, the IHL, would make the decision on which universities close. Now, this is major. I know we got to take our first pause, but this is very, very big, because the whole idea is that this bill, they're trying to decide which universities to close by June 2025 based on enrollment, federal aid, tuition rates, degree programs, and local economic impact. And those schools would be mandated to shut down by the end of 2028. Now, I got to take a quick pause, but Karen, we got to talk about that.
This makes my blood boil.
HBCUs are at risk of being shut down. 3, folks, in one state. We got to talk about it. I want to get your take on it. Join us in the conversation. Post your comments. Share your thoughts as we talk about the issue of Mississippi Senate Bill 2726. What do you think about this idea of shutting these 3 HBCUs down in Mississippi's attempt to try to restructure their public education program? Stay with us. The conversation will continue on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat to the Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in Black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
Some angry
pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraj Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in, being a part of the conversation. We just started talking about what's happening in the state of Mississippi as they're looking to shut down 3 HBCUs in an attempt because they wanted to kind of do some restructuring of public colleges and universities. That's right, folks. According to Mississippi Senate Bill 2726, it's aiming to shut down 3 of the state's 8 public colleges and universities. And those 3 that are particularly on the chopping block are Alcorn State University, Jackson State University, and Mississippi Valley State University, 3 HBCUs, and the IHL, or the Mississippi Institution of Higher Education, is saying that they're going to decide which universities to close by June 2025 based on enrollment, federal aid, tuition rates, degree programs, and local economic impact. Let me check in with my sister Kimberly Morrow to get her latest, as she's an educator, parent, and an educator. She's a parent advocate, and she's also the principal of the Doris L. Morrow Academy. And so, Kim, talk to us of what's your take on this situation, because the state of Mississippi is looking at all of these metrics and saying these schools don't meet the standard. What do you have to say?
First of all, it's ridiculous. So you make it difficult. When I say you, I'm talking about Republicans, because it is a Republican who has initiated this. This is a bill that he is proposing, right? And so the Republicans have made it very difficult getting the affirmative action overturned. So a lot of Black people are now looking at historical Black colleges. And now it's, okay, well, now we need to start shutting down some historical Black colleges. This is ridiculous. I love in another article I read regarding the same thing, that there is a woman and her name is, if I want to say it right, Jennifer Riley Collins, from HUD, who is advising or encouraging alumni to notify their Congress people and make sure that this bill is dead on arrival. And I feel like if my sister Corinna was here, this is what she would be saying to the people of Mississippi. Look, contact your legislators. This cannot go on. We cannot have any of our HBCUs closed, not at a time when they are making it so difficult for Black people to get a college education. So this bill is utterly ridiculous. And coming from a historical HBCU who lost its accreditation and worked so hard to get it back, I am not for closing down an HBCU. No, not at all.
Well, a letter from the Alumni Association of each of the 3 universities to the state legislatures opposed the bill, obviously, saying that the closing of these 3 public HBCUs would deeply hurt the state. The letter said, quote, closing these institutions alone would not only deprive future generations of the transformative educational experiences they offer, but it would also irrevocably damage the cultural and intellectual landscape of Mississippi. Now, back in late February of this year, Mississippi voters started a petition on change.org to reject the bill of Senate Bill 2726. So far, it has collected over 14,500 signatures. But the fact is that now I think we got to have the hard questions on this. I don't like to say devil's advocate. I'm going to just be on the other side of the conversation. Are these schools operating at a maximum capacity? Now, we already know that the historic underfunding of HBCUs. So keeping that in mind, that's like, okay, that's something that's different. But I'm talking about in terms of, and I'm wondering, like, based on these metrics, enrollment, federal aid, tuition rates, degree programs, and local economic impact. Basically looking at all of these institutions and saying, are you creating the value that you say that you're doing? Are you doing the work that you say that you're doing? And I think that's the hard part of it. And I don't know and I get it. Now, of course, I'm hearing from the Alumni Association, but I would love to hear from the students, the parents of the students, the larger community where these schools are, and ask those same questions. Like, is this school adding to the community? Is it adding to producing the type of students that this state or this country needs? Like, we have to do some analysis as well, don't you think, Kimberly?
So, Faraji, let me just say, what you're saying, I have had this argument with Black folks over the years, from the time I was a student at Morris Brown and beyond, because there are a lot of Black people that believe that there should only be a few HBCUs, the top tier ones, the ones that we all know: Howard, Hampton, Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, etc. Having gone to Morris Brown College in the AUC, where we were regarded as the lowest of the low, we're down on the totem pole. Students from the other schools in the AUC would drive around our campus and call us Morris Brown High School. So let me make this abundantly clear. All HBCUs play a major part in educating African American students. We cannot all go to Morehouse, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, or Howard, but you better believe that we are receiving a top-notch education and we are making impact in the society. One of the things that I loved, and I'm gonna bring it back, but because I'm sure this is in all of the different states where they have smaller HBCUs. Our current president, Dr. James, when he went on the radio promoting Morris Brown College, what he said to the listening audience in Atlanta, there aren't many students in Atlanta or in Atlanta, Georgia, etc., who have not been touched by a teacher from Morris Brown College. We produce teachers, we produce police officers. So do not take away from the smaller HBCUs. We may not have the same endowments and the same funding as the larger HBCUs, but believe me, we have dedicated staff and we have students who are making a difference in society after graduation. Currently in DeKalb County, the first ever African-American female is the sheriff of DeKalb County. She is a graduate of Morris Brown College. So when people start telling me, oh, well, the smaller ones, they can close the smaller ones because they're really not significant, that is not true. That is absolutely not true, because all of us cannot go to the bigger named schools. And so it's unfair to those students who may not otherwise have an opportunity to get a college education. That is the function, I believe, of the smaller HBCUs like Morris Brown, like Mississippi State, like Alcorn, like Albany State, like Jackson State that they're trying to close down. Other students would be impacted. So Faraji, I'm going to push back on you with that one.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, I'm really just wondering, and a lot of these, this is not based upon these metrics, Kimberly, these are metrics based upon like future impact or who's coming out of the school, like what type of professionals, what type of industry leaders are coming out of these schools. This sounds more operational to me. This sounds more like day-to-day, year-to-year type stuff, right? And if we look at it like this, like some of us in Black America, we look at HBCUs as a cultural significance, but then we also have to look at HBCUs as a business entity as well. Now, I know that it's education, it's public education, it shouldn't be seen that way, but I'm saying from the business side of things of a school, having space, having the resources, having the infrastructure, making sure that the degree programs are all accredited, making sure that students are paying their tuition, that there isn't a huge debt that comes with default, making sure that the school is making the impact with the community. You know, how is the school impacting the economics of that area that the school is situated in? I mean, that sounds more operational. That sounds more the business side of this. Yes, culturally, we know, I think we understand the value and who comes out of these schools and what they bring. But we've had these conversations with even Brother Roland talked about. HBCUs. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kimberly.
It's not even just culturally. So this is a public school, correct?
Right.
So
right.
We get upset when we talk about how the public schools, all they care about is test scores. I'm talking about your K through 12. All they care about is test scores. All they care about is metrics. They don't care about educating students, and because they're Black students. But then when it comes to HBCUs, all of a sudden it's like, oh well, it's the business of it. Come on, it's still about educating Black folks. So it's still about educating Black people. It's still about education. And so we get upset when we talk about them living up to some metrics. We're talking about public schools who are supposed to be funded by the public, just like public K through 12s are supposed to be funded by the state. Those schools are supposed to be funded by the state. So if the state is not providing the funding, how are they going to meet the metrics that they're required to meet?
Right.
And so we get upset when it's discussed about public K through 12, but when it's about public HBCUs, we want to take a different approach. It's the same argument.
Gotcha. No, I hear you. Well, the update that I'm just getting from the team is that just literally like 2 to 3 days ago, like this whole situation has been it created a huge firestorm. And so there's some concern that even though the bill didn't make it out of committee, that it still puts HBCUs in a vulnerable position. Because when you do look at those metrics, when you do look at the funding and all of those things that we pointed out, the HBCUs have to step up. But this is also happening across the board in the state of Mississippi, because there has been data coming from, the Mississippi Institution of Higher Learning, which shows a decrease of nearly 5,400 students across the state's 8 public universities between 2019 and 2023. Delta State University, University of Southern Mississippi have experienced the largest student enrollment declines. Only Mississippi State University and the University of Mississippi Medical Center has enjoyed some enrollment gains. So this state is struggling to try to keep doors open to its colleges. It could be because of Republican leadership. I don't know. It could be because of bad leadership of these institutions. I don't know. But if these institutions could be because of the money, right?
And
the tuition.
Don't want to get caught up in that student loan cycle.
Absolutely not.
That's a conversation that we've talked about before. A lot of students, not just in Mississippi, but a lot of students around the nation are opting out of college because they don't want to go into student loan debt. So that is another issue as well.
Absolutely.
States need to look at how are they going to reduce tuition or I don't know, make it free. I know states don't like to talk about that. You know, that sounds too much like, you know, socialism. But honestly, they are going to, if we want an educated society, a skilled working society, we're going to have to think of something with regards to college tuition. Otherwise, we're going to be outsourcing our jobs that require degrees. We're going to be bringing in more and more people from other countries to fulfill these positions because they are not having this issue. And so we're going to end up having to bring other people in to fulfill these positions.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Let me go to the crew here, what folks got to say. Nicole, you said there is a coordinated attack on Black people receiving a quality education, Black wealth, Black family, Black wealth, Black health, etc. So, Nicole, I think you're absolutely right. We're seeing it in every state, right? A lot of these attacks are coming from state leadership. It's not from federal leadership, except if you talk about like the Supreme Court or something. But a lot of these states feel emboldened now to make these attacks. So I appreciate you, Nicole, for pointing that out. Tiana, you say getting rid of affirmative action has opened up a can of worms. Thank your Supreme Court for that, opening up that can of worms. So we got to fight harder. We got to fight harder. Lori Parks, my sister, you said lawsuits right now should be filed. Hey, look, if this was like 5 years ago, Lori, I would be like, okay, yeah. But now, given how the court system, now that we know how the Supreme Court is moving on certain issues, now we know how the state courts are moving. That's why we've been asking the question, what's recourse, what actions can Black America take to get some sort of justice if the court system is showing bias, preferential treatment, if the court system is showing that it's siding with foolishness rather than with facts. Hey, lawsuits can be filed all day. But if the judges are not in their right mind and is not serious about justice instead of about political gains, then I would say yes, but not in this time. Not at this time. Let me see who else has said something about this. Lori, you also said Black communities should start protesting along with the churches, the pastors, and other organizations. This is a tragedy. All of the red Republican states and governor wants to close down these colleges. It's an attack. But here's the thing for us, very quickly. How many of us that go to HBCUs give back to HBCUs? How many of us? And I'm just saying, this is the conversation I think we should have amongst ourselves. How many of us go to HBCUs, give back? And I'm not talking about volunteering. That's certainly fine. Your time is definitely valuable. But I'm legitimately talking about money. How many of us put something in the pot for these HBCUs? Encourage those who came through those same doors, put something in the pot of those HBCUs. Also bring in some businesses to put something in the pot of those HBCUs. Now, is that the only way we can do it? No, we need state funding. We need other revenues of funding, but we do need some engagement, because if the situation gets dire where these schools will potentially get closed, then guess what's going to happen? We're going to be like, man, I don't even know why they closed it. And man, this was a good school, man. We had the best this, they had the best that. That's all cultural. But the business side requires action. The business side requires money, policy, action. That's the business side. If you want to keep schools open, you got to put some money in it. You got to create policies that will sustain it. And then you got to go and constantly work to make sure that that curriculum, that quality of education is going to be the priority. But if you don't have none of that, if you're not willing to put that on the table, you can't talk about it. Kimberly, got 30 seconds. What's your take?
I say definitely support your school. I'm currently involved in 2 alumni organizations, Morris Brown College Los Angeles chapter alumni organization, and our class of 1994. We are actually raising funds for our dear old Morris Brown. So if you can't give like a loan, or you feel like you need to be involved with others to do it, you want to pool with others, join your local alumni chapter and do it that way. That's another great way you can really make a difference, as opposed to just doing an individual donation.
There it is. There it is. All right, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about how one Chinese family who was helped out years ago by a Black family is paying it forward by giving back to the Black community in a very significant way. Let's talk about that on the other side. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shootings.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. All right, let's talk a little bit about one Chinese American family that is paying it forward to the Black community. Let's talk about the family of the Dongs. And I'm joined by my sister, Kimberly Morrow, who is a parenting and education advocate. She's also the principal of the Doris L. Morrow Online Academy. And Kimberly brought this story up to me. She said, Faraji, I think we need to talk about this because it speaks volumes about humanity, money, and so much, and race, and so much more. 1939, the Dongs, a Chinese American family in Coronado, California, they were unable to find a place to rent a house because of racially restricted housing laws that favored white buyers and renters. So a Black entrepreneurial couple in the town by the name of Emma and Gus Thompson allowed the family to rent, according to NBC News on this report. They allowed the family to rent and eventually buy their property when nobody else would. Now, thanks to the Thompsons for helping them get to a further on, they was able to establish their life in American society. The Dongs are donating $5 million to Black college students using proceeds from the sale of the house. According to Ms. Janice Dong, who's 86 years old, she said it may enable some kids to go and flourish in college that might not have been able to do otherwise. She said about the plan to sell the family home that they later purchased, as well as an adjacent property. The Dong family will also have to work to have San Diego State University's Black Resource Center named after Emma and Gus, who was born into slavery in Kentucky. Wow. According to Mr. Lloyd Dong Jr., he said the Thompsons gave their family a start with the land, and it is time for them to do the same for others. He said, without them, we would not have the education and everything else. Why is this story so significant to you, Kimberly? It's a fascinating story of just love and humanity, and it's something that when you think about all the stuff that we go through, we might need to get back to some of the lessons of this story and get back to that time where we open our hearts to other people, and then God blesses them to pay it forward the way that the Dongs are doing it right now. But what struck you the most about this story?
So here's what struck me about that story. We never hear about the success stories of African Americans coming out of slavery. We only hear about the struggles, the struggle. And this was a couple, they were an entrepreneurial couple. The man, Gus, he owned his own business. So he started off as a driver, and then he ended up having his own, they weren't cars at the time, they were coaches pulled by horses. And then he had a car service, and they had other businesses. And so this was a very prominent family in Coronado. They belong to social clubs, civic organizations. So this isn't your run-of-the-mill family. And what I don't like is that when we hear about our stories, we only hearing about the struggle part of our stories. Yes, sometimes we get to hear about business owners during that time period, but it's so rare and it's so infrequent. And so I did not want this just to be a story about the Dong family paying it forward. I wanted to focus on Gus and Emma Thompson, the people who actually made a way for them, because they were not the only African Americans during that time period who were doing well. Okay. And they're not the only African Americans who have supported immigrants coming into this country who've had a difficult time. And I was afraid that if the story was only told in the manner in which it is in the newspaper, that we would only know about the Dong family's generosity, but we really would not know about Emma and Thompson. Okay.
I got you.
That is really because I did more research on them, and they were successful. And I think we should learn more about our successful African Americans and not just only know about those that struggled.
No,
so that's why it resonated so much with me. That's why.
Yeah. Well, of course, for me, this story resonates because it shows a deep sense of humanity, right?
Yeah.
But I think that, it's interesting because I think people already know that Black folks, regardless of the position that we find ourselves in, the condition that we're in, that we still can dig deep within ourselves to find love for someone else. And to some of our people, that could be a gift and a curse, right? That we can still, and I put it out there on my social media one time. I said that some of us some of us, we get wrapped up in our blackness so much that we become blind to the pain and struggle of other people. Now, some people kind of push back on it. They're like, Faraj, we always thinking about other people. And I'm like, yeah, but some of us, I'm saying today, it's like when we have conversations about other people's struggle, there's always someone in the room that said, but what about black people? As if black people are only people that exist in America. As if no one else has struggled in America. And I get the historical reference. I already know that. Of course we know about the transatlantic slave trade and all of that. I get all of that. But there are groups of people, not just in this country, but around the globe, that have really undergone some real struggle. And I think that, to your point, and I think this is an excellent point that you just made, our history is not rooted in struggle. That is a fallacy of, I think, the Western American educational system, that it tries to diminish the brilliance and the brightness of who we are and what we have contributed to the whole world, that we always just find ourselves in this low, dehumanizing, enslaved state in every element, right? Like we didn't build the pyramids, like we didn't discover lands, like we didn't make great contributions for the advancement of society. So right. That's the problem. It's like we have to make sure that we do think about other people. And yes, we're going through tremendous pain, but I truly believe this, Kimberly. If once the relationship, let's say here in America, once the relationship with black people, or rather the condition of black people in America is improved, it opens the door for every other group of people to improve. It's like we are the litmus test. And I know that some people don't want to hear that, but I truly believe that's the case. Once we make advancements, it opens the door for everybody. That is part of the universality of our struggle. That is what makes our struggle so special and unique, that once we are liberated, everybody else is liberated. What's your take on that? Am I crazy in thinking that?
No, you're absolutely correct. But then I think that's a double-edged sword. And I think that's why some of our people get frustrated, because I'll give you affirmative action as an example. That was designed to help Black people, correct?
Right.
To bring us up. But the biggest benefit factor of affirmative action has been white women.
Right.
And so
we got a brother that come on yesterday. He said the same thing. He said the biggest beneficiaries of diversity is white women. Right.
So I think what happens is, while we know it will open a door, we get frustrated because when it opens the door for other people, it's as though they don't realize we were the ones who opened that door for them. And that's where I believe that frustration lies.
Yeah.
Because you have these other groups who will then ascend, and then it's as though they don't realize or they don't acknowledge that we are the reason that they've ascended. And I believe that's where a lot of that frustration comes from.
And that makes a lot of sense. That's totally understandable. Totally understandable. But let me just say this. Let me say this. And this is maybe, and I could be completely wrong. So anybody, y'all can check me on this. I personally try not to go through life thinking about how I'm going to be perceived when I try to help people out. If I try to help you out, I'm honestly trying to help you out, not looking for anything in return, not even attention. I don't need you to go take a bullhorn and go to the top of the mountain. I don't need none of that. It's just that because I already know that once you help people out, it creates the energy within the universe for the universe to reward you. You don't need your reward from man or from other people. You just need your reward from the simple fact of just knowing that you help somebody out. And now that's how I operate. That's how I operate. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong.
I think that's a great way to operate, and I try to operate that way as well. But I was just giving you the other.
No. I'm glad you did. No, I think so.
Because
yeah.
everybody isn't in the same space. Some people have been, hurt and traumatized, and we don't really know where they are in their journey. And so just to have that perspective and go, okay, I can see it from their perspective. I try to look at life that way, Faraji. I try so hard to look at life through other people's perspective as well, not just my own. So sometimes when I'll give you a take on things, it's not necessarily my take. I'm trying to look at it from someone else's viewpoint.
Oh yeah, and I think we should. Let me go to what the crew got to say, because we got to take another quick pause. Davey Floater, you said Black people need all the friends we can get.
Love it.
You agree with that?
I love Kimberly? It. Yes. We need our allies. Yes. We
need allies.
We cannot alienate people. And that frustrates me. Again, I understand people are hurt and everything, but that frustrates me when people talk about cutting other people off because they are frustrated and hurt and angry. We do need allies. We do need supporters. We're only 10% of the population. We cannot be in this thing alone. We cannot isolate ourselves. So yes, I agree with his point.
Just with 13% of the population in this country, we are we're 13%, but we are, if you're saying darker skinned people, we are the majority on the globe. Right? But in America, we're 13% of we're 13% of the population. But you're absolutely right. And let me just say this to this point, y'all, because I know some folks who, and I know we got to take a quick pause. But I think humanity owes a debt. And I don't want to come off into this kind of angry spirit, but I think humanity owes, every group of people owe a debt of gratitude to Black people in America and across this globe, because we took the hits. We took the hits. Civil rights, we took the hits. Human rights, there can be no conversation. I said it before. There can be no conversation about civil rights, human rights, on all of that if Black people aren't at the center of the conversation. And this ain't racism. This ain't some crazy thinking. I'm saying we took the hit. And as a result of us taking a hit, and as a result of our progress, the whole world is moving forward. This ain't racism. This is we're looking at this from facts here. The world is moving forward. So it's interesting that we often find ourselves that look at the country now. The country is suffering, doesn't know which direction it's going. Well, look at the relationship that America has with Black people. And if you look at that relationship and you'll see the answers to why this country is so off-centered, why this country is not moving forward, because that relationship isn't a good one. Now, once that relationship gets better, the doors will open up. The eyes, people, we will win. Pastor David Blissett, you said it, brother. You said, I've also said that, Faraji, when Black people win, we all win. We all win. But nobody want to give Black people. We be like, man, and look, when America has denied Black people freedom, justice, and equality, equal rights, human rights, all of these things that we've been fighting for, the country don't get no better. But the moment the country starts moving forward, because Black people have gained something. We are the trailblazers. We have been the ones taking the hits, but at the end of the day, we're not the beneficiaries. Everybody wants to give something else to everybody else. And then, like you said, it's a great point. Sometimes we're not given the credit, but trust and believe. I believe in justice. I believe that things will come back around, and we just got to keep moving. We got to keep fighting for it. Pastor Damon, thank you so much. Who else is in it? Sean Ryan, you said a true friend will help you out without you even knowing, and that's correct. That's facts. Benny, you said correct. That's why factual history is important. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are at a very, very pivotal time in this country. And I'm so glad, Kim, that you brought up this story because this is beautiful. I hope that the Domes are successful to getting that resource center named in Gus and Emma Thompson's name. But it's even more beautiful to, right, as you said, not only the fact that the Domes gave $5 million, but that Black people have the compassion, the heart to open up their doors.
And they own the property, so they were able to do it. That's part of that story. They had the ability to help. And I don't want that to be missed. I don't want people to take away that in 1939, Black people were, struggling so much we couldn't even help people. Not only could they help people, but they did. They were in a financial position to do so. And it's so important we know that. And can I tell you another fact that a lot of people don't know?
Got 30 seconds. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that there were Black women who owned property and businesses during slavery in the antebellum South? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So those are stories that we never hear about.
No, that's absolutely. You gotta come. You gotta break it down for us one day, Kim. I'm gonna give you some time. Seriously, I'm gonna give you some time this month to talk about those fantastic Black women. I would love to hear those names, and I think it would be grateful for the culture, for the crew to hear those names, because we don't know. Some of us don't know that history, and I'm sorry. I know some people are probably like, you don't know certain history. Black history is so deep. It's so rich. There's so much to learn, man. I haven't, as great as brilliant as some of our great scholars are that even appeared on this network. There's so much more to learn about the greatness and the history of Black people in this country.
Yeah,
so
I took an African American history class by Dr. Higginbotham when I was at Harvard. So I drank in all that African American women's history. I drank it all in.
There it is. And you're making history in your own right too. So that's a big part of it as well, Kimberly. Look, we got to take a quick pause when we come forward. You're welcome. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about love. Let's talk to Leon and Karita Montgomery, who are the authors of Just Dance With Me, as we talk about making marriage work. Stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shootings.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Wanted to switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about relationships, and particularly, let's talk about marriage and talking about the trials and triumphs of that bond and union. And so joining us today, we have two special people, two people, one couple. They are Leon and Karita Montgomery. They are the authors of the book, Just Dance With Me. There is Rhythm and Flow to Longevity in Marriage. And this is a new book. This is a book that's been out, and it's an opportunity to talk about relationships, especially at a time where it seems like love and relationships and all of these things are so romanticized, from everything from social media to reality shows and everywhere else. So we want to welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We have Leon and Karita Montgomery, as well as my sister, Kimberly Morrow, is joining us. But Leon, Karita, thank you so much for joining us. How are you this afternoon?
We're doing well.
Thank you for having us.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm well. Oh, first thing, I see y'all rocking some shirts too, like Kimberly is. All right, what's the shirt called? What's the shirt? What it say?
Be love. So not just love, but be love.
Ooh, I love it.
I love it too. I love it. All right, so Leon and Karita, let's talk a little bit about your book, Just Dance With Me, talking about rhythm and flow to longevity in marriage. Here's the cover of the book, folks. This is a beautiful cover. First and foremost, Leon and Karita, how long have y'all been married?
25 years.
Oh, okay.
25.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I love it.
Hey. The reason I'm asking, you know how you talk to some folks and you be like, how long have you been married? 6 months. You'd be like, man, put that book away, bro. Put that book away.
Yes.
You talking about
Right.
you need to put some time in, brother. You need to put some time in. 25 years, congratulations, 25 years. So what was the inspiration to write a book about your journey as a union, as a couple?
So I'll start with it. So really the pandemic, where a lot of couples faced turmoil in their marriage, the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic brought Leon and I closer together. So we didn't have the scurrying around with the kids and jobs and events after work and things of that nature. And we really had a time to sit down, look in each other's eyes, and find love again. And Leon, I'll let him tell you, because although the pandemic was happening, I was running a hotel. I was a general manager of a hotel, so I never had a day off. I worked through the entire pandemic. I was
wow.
at the Atlanta airport. a very busy hotel, but Leon was at home, and he'll tell you how he made that special for me because I was working during the pandemic.
All right, Leon, talk to us, brother. How did you make it? How did you make a Karina feel special at home, brother?
Well, my wife was, she was stressing when she was coming home from work, and I work from home. I work from home, so she was home. She would complain. She was tired getting up, going every day. I'm home, and I have the music going. So I started, having the music, enough for her, uplift her spirits.
He created the backyard party. That's what we call it.
Yeah. The backyard party. I like it. I like it.
So
what was in the backyard party? Now I'm interested. What was happening at the backyard party? Is that family friendly information that we can share? Or?
Part one was the kids went back inside. It was adult time.
I'll put it to you that way.
Adult time after dark, but we were still out there in the backyard though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that time together, we thought, we've been through so much, and we really had a chance to heal our marriage.
Okay.
And we thought we never had a blueprint. So both of us grew up in single parent homes, and a lot of our friends grew up in single parent homes. So we didn't have a blueprint for marriage. We didn't have someone to say, do this, do that, or don't do this and do that. But we kind of, stumbled upon like a roadmap, if you will, over years. And during the pandemic, I am a book publishing coach. So I help other authors write books. But I was like, why don't we write a book? Why don't you and I put all of our thoughts in the book? So he was a little reluctant at first, but he agreed to it eventually.
So I think that's an interesting take, because you did this during the pandemic. You started to chronicle that journey during the pandemic. It seems like now, and Kimberly, please jump in whenever you want to, but it seems like everybody is a relationship specialist. Now you have those who are trained, you have those but it seems like now everybody has something to say about relationships. Everybody is a love specialist, right? So how did you even have the confidence, find the confidence and say, you know what, we're going to put our story out there. We're going to, show our vulnerabilities, the ups and downs. How did you even get to the courage to get to that place?
Well, we made a lot of mistakes over the years in our marriage. And just like my wife said, we didn't have a blueprint. And so we were very transparent. Because we're in right now in our marriage, we're in a great place right now, and we say, we brought the idea to writing the book. We want to be very transparent about the mistakes that we made, and we made a lot of them, and they were costly mistakes. So, we put it out there in the book, and I'm not trying to be a relationship expert, nothing like that. We're just using our story to help someone else may be struggling in their marriage or their relationship.
What big lesson, Karina, did you want people to learn from hearing your story?
The big lesson for me is I did a lot of comparing. I compared my husband to people that I thought were like perfect husbands in marriage. I had a problem with wanting to be the head of household, wanting to lead. So in our marriage, I made more money than my husband, but I thought that gave me a right to not consider him, not include him in his opinion, not to let him be the man, let him lead. And it caused chaos in our home. And being home during the pandemic, I realized how much value my husband brought to the family, to the house, to me as a whole. And it really came to the forefront one day when we were having like a heated argument. And I thought that he was just angry and mad and just a lot of rah-rah for no reason. But I looked into his eyes that day, and his eyes were tearing up. Like he was emotional. And it was that moment, and that moment was a little bit before the pandemic. It was sometime around the end of 2019. It was that moment when I kind of decided, like, I don't want to do that no more. I don't want to argue. I don't want to have all these silent moments. You know how you give them the silent treatment? You don't talk for days. I was like, what a waste. What a waste of time. What a waste of our marriage. So that was the biggest for me. Just understanding that it's okay for him to lead, and that power thing, it was for corporate America, but it wasn't for my household. And I to submit to my husband and submit to him being the king of the house. And it was okay for me to take my place as his queen. And it took years now for us to realize that. And we were like on year 1920 before we realized that, before I realized it.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
Go. All right. I see you. Can't believe your brain is moving. The wheels of the brain's turning. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we'll continue the conversation with Leon and Karina Montgomery, authors of the book Just Dance With Me, as they're talking about making marriage work and talking about also how to find longevity in the marriage. We'll continue the conversation on the other side. Post your comments as we're streaming right now on Big Brother Roland Martin's Facebook page and YouTube channel. I would love to hear what y'all have to say about this crew. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we're talking about love, relationships, and marriage as we check in with Leon and Karita Montgomery, authors of the book Just Dance With Me. This is a couple that is talking about their time being together, over 20 years being married, and they are telling you about the trials and the triumphs of their union in a very, very unfiltered, vulnerable way, in the hopes that their story will inspire others to stay the course, to continue the path, and more importantly, to find longevity in marriage. I'm also joined by my sister, Sister Kimberly Morrow, who is a education and a parenting expert, and also serves as the principal of the Doris L. Morrow Academy, online academy. Kimberly, you got a question for Karita and Leon?
I don't know if it's a question, but
gotcha.
I wanted to just say this, because what I don't want this to devolve into, because as you said, what you said about submitting, and I can already hear a lot of women, I'm not submitting, et cetera, et cetera. But so what I want to ask is, you mentioned there was some healing that needed to take place in your marriage first. Can you talk a little bit about whether the healing that maybe you had to heal yourselves individually and collectively to get to that place where you could actually submit? Because I think when we have these discussions and we hear this, submit, there's a block that goes up, but people don't talk about the healing that got them to that place. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes. So the healing for me, first of all, I had to realize that I had to give my husband grace. I had to understand that he's a human being and he's going to make mistakes. For some reason in a marriage, we want to amplify all of the mistakes and not talk about the good things that he had done. You know, yes, he made mistakes and I did as well, but what about the grace for his mistakes? Secondly, I have a prayer ministry, Kimberly, and I was praying for everybody else's marriages. And when it came down to my marriage, I was always telling God, fix him. Because he wrong, get him. He know he shouldn't have did that yesterday or whatever. And God said, no, fix you. Fix you, your stuff, that your shortcomings, your missing the mark moments, your mistakes. Fix you first. I got Leon. I'm taking care of Leon. You don't know the conversations me and Leon having when he in the closet praying. He said, no, you don't try to tell me to fix him. You fix yourself. And I had one particular instance, and dealing with like the silent treatment that really was an eye opener for me. And then I'll let Leon speak. So in corporate America, of course, as a general manager, I administer HR. I go through HR policies and procedures with my staff. And we were going over workforce harassment one day. And when I read through all the bullet points, the last bullet point said, silent treatment is a form of harassment. And I was like,
yes. It's abuse.
It's abuse. It's abuse. And you know, when I would get upset with him, I would go into silent treatment mode that would last for weeks. I didn't know it was abuse. That thing hit me so deep. That right there crushed my whole spirit down. My little perfect, you ain't never did nothing wrong, you know, so you holier than thou. I said, sit your little toxic, abusive self down and pray about what you have been doing to your husband all of these years.
Hey, Karita, just out of curiosity, when you saw that in the HR manual, how long had you been married at that point?
17, 18 years.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and I'm so happy that, Kimberly, you brought this piece up, right? I was watching Love is Blind on Netflix last night. Trust me, folks, it's going somewhere with this. And one of the couples was a Black couple, actually. And the man at the end of, he's supposed to, you know, it was the whole premise of the show is that you meet somebody, you don't see him, and then you finally see him, and then you know, a couple of weeks later, you're getting married, like legitimately married. Crazy premise, but it speaks volumes. It's like a social experiment. But one of the things is, as this black man was going through this process with this black woman, when he got to the altar, as he thought he was ready, then he told her no at the altar. Devastating moment. But it was a moment of truth and a moment of, and I think it's a deep moment, because his rationale was that he wasn't all in emotionally. He wasn't all in for, you know, that the process had opened him up to understanding things about himself and his view of his parents' relationship that he never thought. That it finally hit him at the altar. Like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to take this big step. I want to be with this woman, but I don't think I'm ready for this marriage. And he pretty much was begging her, look, just stay with me. But he said, I need to go to therapy. I need to do some work on myself. Wow. And so it opened up this conversation, because I think that people tend to go into relationships, especially marriages, looking to be fixed. And I want to kind of get your take on that, Leon and Karita. Like, what is the proper approach that we should have when going into it? Because I see it all the time. We talk about it all the time. Like, oh, this person is going to do something for me, instead of me coming in, becoming a little bit more whole. Now, are we going to ever be whole on our own? I don't believe so. I think that it does require someone else in your life to help you see you as you need to be seen, right? But there is this, you know, outside of that, this idea that, oh, this relationship is going to fix me. Can you speak to that? Can y'all talk about that?
It's interesting. We had this conversation, like, look, pillow talk this morning. We were talking about a couple that's in our life, and how one of the spouses is always unhappy, and they're looking for the other person to bring them happiness. And he and I both said that you got to bring that to the table. Like, you got to be whole in yourself and say, you know what? I'm happy. I have joy. I have peace. And what he is to me is like the cherry on the top. Like, he brings whatever joy he brings to me is in addition to the joy I already have in myself, the confidence I already have in myself, the love that I already have for myself. So I'm not looking for that in him. In him, I'm looking for companionship, partnership. I'm looking for my best friend. Like, we kid around that we're each other's best friend, a prayer partner, all of that. But I'm not looking for him to complete me in that sense. But I like being married. I like coming home to a husband. I like, being in a relationship. So I honor that part of it. I respect that part of it. I don't know, baby, you want to add?
My man Leon was just like, nope.
Well said.
I don't want to say nothing. I mean, that's how you're supposed to say it.
Just talked about that this morning.
Yeah.
And and the friend that she's talking about was a very good friend of mine, and and they got to start with the happiness is within. You got to be happy with yourself, and traveling and gifts and stuff like that. That ain't not going to keep you happy. Good companionship, good relationship, communication, loving each other. That's what keeps me going and keep our relationship strong.
That is beautiful. We got to take another quick pause, but I want to kind of speak to that, because there is an ongoing narrative that people, that everybody is saying, using the terminology, I'm looking for my person. And the thing is about happiness. Is that even the goal of marriage? Happiness, right? And I was reading one particular article, and we'll talk about this on the other side, that may not be the best goal to have, because it always changes. The quality of one's happiness is always evolving. It's based upon where you are, where the direction you're going to, not just based upon where you are. So it's an ongoing journey. And I thought that was a different look at it. It's that people tend to look at it as a one destination, but it's actually a journey.
Yep.
That happiness is actually a journey. Look, we're gonna continue the conversation on the other side. Let me just throw this out there because we got a lot of crew members that are watching and checking this out. My sister Shannon Marsh, one of our great new culture crew members, she said, marriage is not a fix-all. Your partner should complement you, not complete you. If you're going into a marriage looking to be completed, then whoo, Lord Jesus, but may God be with you. Because you're putting too much on that person that they don't either know that is being put on them or they can't handle.
Right. That's too much pressure.
Too much pressure. Like you got to be the all in all to complete me. That's too much pressure. Look, we got to take, and Shanna, thank you so much for posting that. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, more conversation with Leon and Karita Montgomery, Kimberly Morrow, and you. Stay with me. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
There's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, joined by our great contributor, Kimberly Morrow, and we are joined by two special guests, Leon and Karita Montgomery, who serve as the author of the book, Just Dance With Me. Let's show that author, that book cover once again, please, Lise. Look at that beautiful book cover as you're talking about the trials and triumphs of being married. And I think one of the big things that I'm learning from this conversation from the two of you is that all of these new understandings of relationship has happened years later in the marriage. It happened years later in the marriage. So I want us to think about that. But that struck me that year 17, you finally say, you know what, damn, solid treatments are solid treatments are abusive.
I read it.
Yeah, like 17.
Yeah.
And it speaks volume. I want to go back to that point though about seeing people to the cultural messaging has always been trying to find the one for you. Is that a good approach? Is that a good mindset to have when you're talking about getting, whether it's in a committed relationship or getting into a marriage? Is that having like, I'm trying to find the one for me? Is that a good mindset to have, Leon and Karita?
Well, it worked out perfect for me, because
That's a great answer, Leon. That's a wonderful answer, brother.
I dated her in high school, so we started dating.
Okay.
We dated all college, but I've known her. I've gotten to know her over the years of growing up. And then once we got married, we just didn't know how to be married. Just like my wife said, there was no blueprint. And I know she has great qualities, and I know what I love about her. But sometimes we were like oil and water. We just didn't mix.
And let me ask you this very quickly, because some folks would say if y'all are like oil and water, that y'all wouldn't work. That it doesn't work, that you need to be compatible on all different levels in order to work. How true is that in your case?
Not true at all. That's not true. You can get to learn and appreciate someone. I've learned a lot about her over the years. I thought I knew a lot growing up, dating her in, high school, but you learn more and more as time go on. And and again, there's certain qualities that I appreciated about her, because she's always a positive type person. She's always inspiring and uplifting, and she would not say no to nobody. She's gonna help everybody that comes in her path. And sometimes I feel like, dang, you can't help everybody. It's okay to say no.
Right.
And you can learn those things throughout the relationship.
Absolutely.
One thing on that, for him, divorce was not an option. Now, for me, I had them papers drawn up one time. That
wait
was
a minute, hold on, Karita, hold on. For him, divorce was not an option. For you, you had papers drawn up.
Yeah, I didn't go through with it, but I did retain an attorney one time because I was like, it was a control thing. It was a manipulation thing. It was control the narrative. So I did. Oh, you ain't gonna do what I want. Okay, I threw the D word out a lot before I learned what it was doing to him, how it was hurting him, and it was not, it wasn't a positive thing. And we ended up getting separated year 14. We stayed separated for about 6 months. We reconciled. We got back together, and he was like, I'm doing whatever it takes to save my marriage. Now look, he wasn't going to church that often, but somehow he was showing up at the church house. But look at him. He would just pull up and know where I was parking and would show up at church and just show up at different places, but he was saying he really, really did say, you know what? He apologized, and I think that's huge. He apologized. He admitted some of the things. I apologized. We admitted things. And I admitted things. And we said, okay, let's wipe the slate clean. Let's stop bringing up the past. Let's start over from today. and let's get it right from here.
Right.
Wow. Wow. Kimberly, is that surprising? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, I have a question for Leon. So your wife shared what was her kind of aha moment in the marriage where she realized there were things that she needed to change about herself. What about you? What were some things that you realized you were doing that moving forward, that's not something you should be doing?
Well, for me, I was an angry person, and I didn't know why I was angry. And I know we talked about this earlier. I had to find a way to heal myself, and I did that through counseling. I went and got counseling and learned how to deal with my anger, and we also went to, and that also just brought it home for me. So yeah, it,
So you went to counseling. You went to counseling and dealt with that because you saw that it was a destruction. It added to the diminishing of the marriage. You saw that it was not helpful after a while. And how far along were you in the marriage before you took that step, Brother Leon?
ooh, I would say
About 10
10
years.
years.
Yeah, about 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah. And it
So
was just simple things that I didn't know how to communicate when I was angry. Chastise the kids when I was angry, because my wife felt like, when I was disciplining the kids, she thought maybe I was, in a sense of like abusing them verbally, but not physically. But it was, I was never physically abused them, but verbally, she think I was, just too aggressive.
and now looking back on that time and looking back on the time of you being in therapy, how do you parent? How do you how is your relationship now after therapy?
Oh, it was great, and I know how to communicate when I'm upset. I disagree with her. I
Yeah.
know this time if I just need to walk away, take 10 minutes to myself, go out in the backyard, I grab my cigar, go smoke this cigar in the backyard.
Right, right. And so that's one of the things I wanted to kind of to key in on, because a lot of times, of course, we know that nowadays it could be the smallest hiccup and then people are ready to just jump ship, right? How do you get through those tense moments, those tough moments? How do you get through the fact when your partner, who is a whole different person, is going through life in a different through their lens and having a different experience about life, and is changing over the course of that time that y'all are together, and y'all start to have those hiccups, y'all start to butt heads? How do you get through those moments?
For me, I started praying for Leon. I started praying for God to just cover him, protect him. I started praying for his peace, for his happiness. I started just praying for God to just give him wisdom when dealing with me, when dealing with the kids. I just started praying for him, his whole well-being. And that helped me a lot. The more I just prayed for him, it helped me to see him in a different light. It helped me to see his good qualities. It helped those qualities to be amplified in him, and the things that agitated me or irritated me began to minimize. And I started wanting to be around him. It got to the point where you be like, don't touch me, don't look at me. Matter of fact, you go where you go, But all of that went away when I really, truly, and I say this to this day, I started praying for him, not praying at him. I used to pray for God to get him, like for God to stop that. And I started praying for him. Lord, let his day go well. Father, protect him on his way to work. Give him a good day. Let things, let him be happy. I remember one time I was asking him every day, "Are you happy?" And he would say, "No, I'm not happy." And I just started praying and asking God to just give him some joy, give him some, I know we talked about the word happiness, but let him have some days where he can say, "Yes, I'm happy today." And that for me is how I work through evolving through the marriage and through the ups and downs and the changing and his changing.
We got to take a final pause. When we come back, when we get some final remarks from our very special guests, Leon and Karita Montgomery, Kimberly Morrow, and I'm going to share more of what you have to say, crew. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad, joined by my contributing sister, Kimberly Morrow, as we are joined by the very special guests, Karita and Leon Montgomery, talking about making marriage work. And Kimberly, I have to say, I'm learning. I'm picking up on some things. Man. Look, I want to kind of go back just a little bit because it goes to show you that this truly is a journey. This is a process. Becoming one with somebody in life is a process. And, Leon and Karita, when I see the conversations, the cultural messaging to how Hollywood portrays love should be, and even social media, and we have all of these different ideas, right? Like people think that marriage is a walk in the park, or if it should be easy because you love each other. Leon said, hell no. Hell no, brother. No, sir. No, sir. And then when people realize just having the good feelings is not enough, that it actually requires work. And my brother and pastor, who is one of the great culture crew members, Damon Blissett, he said, you have to be intentional about wanting to be married. Yes, don't let divorce to become an option. The intentionality has to be there. How important is that, Karita?
It's extremely important. And we were talking about that again this morning. Singleness, there's nothing wrong with being single, but just certain things in the culture are amplified. And I see people keep saying hashtag relationship goals. I can't wait, hashtag marriage goals, all of that. But the intentionality part comes with the commitment, the vow. Like I really took it seriously. Even though I know I said I drew up papers, I went back and got the papers from the attorney. And she said, I knew you wasn't gonna go through with it. I didn't even deposit your retainer, and she handed me all my money back. She was like, girl, I already knew when you came here you wasn't going through with it. And I said, I know, I was just having a moment, but the intentionality part,
that's deep.
Yeah, I took the vow.
That's deep. That's deep when a lawyer gives back your money.
She gave it back. She had told me, she was like, I'm gonna hold on to it for two. She said, you ain't doing this. And she was, I'm not gonna even deposit this. And she handed me all the money back, didn't keep any of it. And she said, y'all, you not ready, and y'all not at that point where it's over. She said, just go work through those differences, go compromise, go talk through it. And I did take the commitment very seriously. I took it seriously. To death do us part. I do believe that. And I do believe that marriage is something that is important enough that we should put our all in and salvage it. There's so much against family and marriages and households. There's so much coming against, but the power in staying together, the power in the children seeing us stay together, seeing us compromise, seeing us apologize, seeing us turn the table, if you will. Yeah. There's power in that. And then the economic part of it. After the pandemic, they say mortgages and rent prices tripling and all that. You got power together economically, and the enemy want to come against that. And we were like, no, we're gonna fight to the end, and we want to fight for our marriage.
That is awesome.
That
is awesome. That is beautiful. That is awesome. Cindy D, my sister, you say too many people marry the wedding and not the marriage when they wonder why it doesn't work. Wow. Too many people marry the wedding. Woo. We like the pomp and circumstance of the wedding, you know, that whole I've talked to, I remember having a conversation with one gentleman, and this was like very random. I was waiting for some pizza, and he, you know, we just started talking, and he said, yeah, man, I just got married. So I'm like, oh, brother, welcome, congratulations. I've been down that road. Congratulations, man. Hope all works out. And he started showing me the marriage photos, right, in his phone. And he said, man, we spent like $20,000-$30,000. And I'm like, damn, that's a lot. You know, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, all right. And all I kept thinking is, I hope it works out. I really do. I really hope it works out, right? Because to Cindy's point, that we find ourselves wanting that part of the discussion, but we don't want the hard part of the discussion, because if you once you embarked on this journey of marriage, it will test the fibers of your being, your faith, your humanity, your heart, your mind, the strands in your hair. I mean, it will test everything. It will test everything.
Tell the truth.
Say it again.
It will test everything. And I don't know, looking forward, especially for the next generation, how we can have healthier conversations about relationships. Even if they do go into the space of like, okay, the marriage breaks up, you know, there is so much unhealthy conversations around co-parenting, around two people. You know, even some people would say, like, you know, we talk about Will and Jada, and they talk about life partnership, you know, and there's all of these extra, like, new states of relationship. What's your take on all of that? On how these relationships have now evolved into different types of relationships now. They may not necessarily be traditional marriages, but they still require both people to be committed to the journey.
We did something on social media recently. We said the 10 things that a marriage needs to be sustained, and you know, one of them was recognition, respect for the other person, involvement, making them feel involved, making them feel included. You know, things just the what I say, the standard, just politeness, just, you know, just behaviors that any human being would want. Don't belittle them in front of the child. Don't belittle them in front of your family. Don't talk bad to them, to your girlfriends. Like honor, respect the person that you were married to, still are married to. If you're co-parenting, the parent of your child, don't diminish their value as a human being. And I think you'll be okay if you adhere to that.
There it is. Kimberly, what's your take, the final thought on this?
So share with our viewers something that they could take away from how to move forward in their marriage or get better at their marriage. Like one piece of advice you would give them.
You want to go?
Oh, yeah. Be willing to compromise. You know, everything don't have to go in one direction. You know, you give a little, you know.
Man, hey, brother Leon, don't come on my show, man, making people walk away from the show, man. Nobody want to hear about no compromising, man.
You want a good relationship, you got to be able to compromise.
No, you're absolutely right, brother. You're absolutely right.
So
love it.
Absolutely. Be willing to compromise. I love that. Karina, what would be the one thing that you would share?
For me, quality time is big to me. So we do date night still to this day.
Good.
Have a day where it's all about your spouse. Give them, it's a day, it's all about y'all, not the kids, not the friends, family, coworkers, just you and him. And those times are so special. Continue them. 25 years down the road, you should still be having date night.
And she
Let me ask you, go ahead, brother Leon.
Factor.
Wait, say it again.
You don't mind going to the Cheesecake Factory.
After 25 years, shit. Yo, you better eat this cheesecake.
Right.
I hear that. No, you know what though? Real talk, and Karina, real talk. Do you find that, and Leon, I don't know, do y'all find, like Leon as a man, do you find yourself wanting to be pampered? Because we are in that age where some people believe that men shouldn't be pampered. It's all about the woman and making sure. But do you find yourself as the man to say, you know what, I want to be pampered too? Because I know I do. I enjoy being pampered.
I really don't. It's not my thing, but my wife, she gets a kick out of it. So she makes sure that we travel on my birthday every year.
Oh, that's beautiful, brother.
Every year. And she
beautiful.
So many birthday parties, surprise birthday parties, because I didn't have birthday parties growing up as a kid. So when that out, she threw me several surprise birthday parties. So she loves, pampering me in those type of way.
And couple massages. We do couple massages. Yeah, I take them on massage trips.
Yeah.
A whole massage trip.
Yeah. Well, when we go for his birthday, we always find somewhere where we can go to a salon or go to a spa and we do couple massage. So like you said, it's okay for him to be pampered.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Let me just say, Karina and Leon, it has been such a privilege and a pleasure to really hear about your philosophy and just a little bit of the ups and downs. I know 25 years. I mean, in the big scheme of things, that is, you're still young in this thing. So I don't want to make it seem like y'all are old and y'all are down and that. No, y'all are still young in the journey. 25 years. I have known couples that's together for 60 years, and I'm like, woo. You know what I'm saying? So 25 years is certainly a great accomplishment. Folks, the book is called Just Dance With Me. Let's put that cover right back up there. Make sure y'all pick up a copy. This is from Leon and Karina Montgomery. They talk about their trials and triumphs of being married, talking about all of the ups and downs, the vulnerabilities, the good times, the bad times, the ugly times, the pretty times, everything in between. And it is certainly something worth reading and having, and more importantly, certainly something worth learning from. And so, Leon and Karina, I thank y'all so much for having the courage and the mindset to say, you know what, we're going to put our journey into words, put it into book form so other people can learn from it and share from it, share it, and more importantly, can get something to further their relationship. So I thank y'all for being so good for the culture, man. This is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And we're here in Charleston. So we left Atlanta and came to Charleston. So we want the movement to continue. So we're going to be an exhibitor here, talking to couples, getting autographed books, because now it's a movement to us. We feel like we have more to do concerning.
That's it. That's it. Karina, Leon, thank you so much for being on the show. And more importantly, thank you for being so good for the culture.
Yes.
Thank you.
We love Black love.
Black love. All right, yes. Kimberly. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Man, oh man. That's very inspiring story. Very inspiring story. All right, Kimberly. Thank you so much for just being with me today, offering your analysis, your expertise. How can people learn about the work you're doing, especially with the Doris L. Monroe Online Academy?
So you can visit me. I'll make it easy at kimamonroe.com. And that way you can learn about me, about the school, and about the work that I'm doing.
There it is right there. My sister Kimberly Monroe checking in. You can find her here on The Culture every Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Kimberly, thank you for being so good for the culture.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. That's what I'm talking about. There it is right there. All right, folks, we got to get out of here, but I thank each and every one of you for checking in. And man, I could not end the week on a better and higher note. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure y'all do your due diligence. Go to blackstarnetwork.com, download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And of course, we ask you to be investors and stakeholders in this journey so you can give a little something. If you enjoyed the conversation today, if you enjoyed the conversations we've been having all week, you can show your love by going to blackstarnetwork.com and showing your support there. Also, you can find me on social media at The Real Faraji on Instagram, at Faraji on Twitter, and at Faraji Muhammad on Facebook, and I would love to connect with you. Stay tuned. Up next at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, it's Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will reconnect next week for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Have a fantastic weekend. Peace.